Ontario childcare centres are raising concerns about the ballooning costs of operating in what's being described as an underfunded system. One operator tells me that if more money doesn't come in soon, she and many others will be forced to close their doors for good.
This is a crisis. It is a tipping point. It's absolutely critical that all levels of government listen to the childcare sector, that this money is not enough.
Unable to keep up with skyrocketing inflation, Amy O'Neill, the executive director of Treetop Children's Centre in Midtown Toronto, tells us their accountant has given them 2 to 3 years before they'll be forced to shut down.
We cannot continue our operations at the funding level that we're currently operating at, and centers will close.
With a major shortage of childcare spaces, they are closures the province cannot afford. As of now, Ontario childcare centres that have opted into the $10 a day program have been told their funding formula will remain the same in 2024, but the actual level of funding is unknown.
Programs don't know. Is it going to be the same? Is it flatlined? Is it going to increase again? By what percentage? They don't know. So it puts childcare programs in a really difficult position as they're trying to budget for next year.
Last year, funding increased from the year before by 2.75% to account for inflation.
Which quite frankly was a real slap in the face, because everybody knows that 2.75% is not nearly enough to cover anything.
That wasn't enough because, as you know, inflation last year through the roof.
The price of food alone has gone up 5.5% in Ontario compared to this time last year.
Food costs have increased, but the biggest issue for childcare programs is actually staffing costs, because that's the biggest part of their budget. And ECEs and childcare workers have been underpaid for years, and the staffing crisis has just gotten worse.
Industry experts warn the quality of care and even food will degrade if both the federal and provincial governments don't pitch in.
We're going to absolutely ensure that childcare operators enrolled in this program have the funding they need to deliver. I want operators, small and large, to know we've got their backs.
It has to account for inflation, but it also has to account for ensuring quality. So we got to make sure that we have quality food, that we're not making compromising, decisions on nutrition for children. We have to make sure we have chefs in the kitchen, qualified people doing cooking, all of that kind of stuff, and it all costs money.
For City News, I'm Tina Yazdani.